Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to another episode of Huang's DIY Garage. Today I will be showing you how to install a basic single DIN radio in a 98 Honda Civic. Here are some of the tools that you're going to need. Got some pliers with crimpers incorporated with it. I have a harness that will plug into the factory side. Obviously the radio CD player itself. Spray paint, or you could use a black permanent marker, and I'll show you why. A pick tool that will be able to bend the cage, and some butt connectors. Okay, so I have a used JVC radio here, and I'm going to be putting it into this 98 Civic. Some of the first things that you're going to want to do is the preparation for the harness and radio itself. So the first thing that you want to do is this piece right here is called a trim ring. This piece will be able to pop out eventually. This is why I had this this pick tool here. What you can do is just pry it in here, just be careful of the plastic, and it pops off, it snaps off, excuse me. Very easy. Okay, once you have that off, all you have to do is take your pick tool here. You can pry this metal, it's really flimsy. Pry it out just a little bit so it bends out, and then repeat on the other side. And what this is gonna do is once I get this out, this allows me to slide that cage out that I was telling you about. Comes off like so. Okay, so this is the cage that I was telling you about. Now, for those of you who are going to do on your own, you may not have this trim ring, which is or a beauty ring. What this does is cover up the metal so it doesn't look crappy when you put it in. Okay, so now that I got the cage off, I'm going to spray paint it real quick, and I'm just going to spray paint along these edges here. A lot of installers do this in general just because it gives it more professional look. And depending on the brand of radio that you bought or have, the trim ring may not always cover exactly around it. So it's just good to cover it up with a black permanent marker or spray paint it. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do is connect the JVC wiring harness to the Honda harness. You see this clip right here, just take your thumb, push it down, pull this guy out. And then next, we're just going to be prepping the harness to the Honda harness. Now what I did here is you can see I twisted some of the wires. I just like to make it look clean, professional, and I'm going to be doing the same for the JVC harness, and then I will show you guys how to make everything look clean and look good for the install. Okay, so the harness is pretty much wired up. It's real simple. If you have this plug that you can buy at a Walmart or even like a stereo shop, it shouldn't be more than 20 bucks for one of these harnesses. And then this guy always should come with the radio that you bought or got from a wrecking yard or whatever. Anyway, so it's really simple. So anytime you have your speaker colors that are purple, green, gray, and white, anytime that you see a black stripe, so you'll have purple with black, green with black, gray with black, white with black, those all mean those are the negative side. Anyway, easiest way to do this is just line the colors up, literally color for color. And the way I do this is you can tug on these guys, on your connectors on both ends, just to make sure you have a good solid connector. And then lastly, to finish it up, if you do not have zip ties, you can use tape or zip ties depending on what. But I normally tape or zip tie here, right before the connectors, right after connectors, and again right up here. Okay, so we got the harness all ready to roll. If you did not match up some of these wires, so for instance, there is a blue wire and an orange wire, don't worry about those. Do what I did, cap them off, put a butt connector on it, that way, you know, it's not touching any other electronic. But the reason why some of these radios may not match up is because the blue wire is typically for a powered antenna, or a blue-white stripe is typically for a powered amplifier. If you had one in the car, this is a 98 Civic. We obviously don't have an amplifier in here. And then also the orange wire is for illumination. So when you turn your parking lights on or your headlights on, it typically dims the radio, but JVC does not supply a dimming option, so we cap it off. Okay, so I already took the liberty to take out the factory radio. I was planning on selling this vehicle before, but I didn't end up actually doing it. So what I did was I actually made a dummy plate to make it look like there's a factory radio in here, so no one would steal, I don't know, anything in here. If you do have the factory radio in here and you need to take it out, the way to do it is there's two Phillips screwdrivers here that you need to unscrew. If you pull down this glove box, there's a screw right up here that you need to unscrew, and there's a screw down there. This is what takes this panel off. And then also on this side right here, you need to take this panel off, this under dash panel off, and there's a couple screws to get to, again, this panel right here. Once all these panels are taken off, the factory radio will have two little 8mm or 10mm bolts / Phillips screw heads. You take those out, and then the radio pops out. Okay, so should be pretty easy peasy. I already got the harness plugged into the factory Honda one. All we have to do now is install the cage, which we painted, and it should be dry by now. And I'll show you how to install that, and then click in the radio, pop it in, and we're done. Okay, so the cage is all done. It's all nice and pretty. This is the part that I need to show you. So these are tabs right here, all sorts of tabs. And the reason why manufacturers make these is because every car is different. So what we're going to do is we're going to slide this cage into this hole right here. And once we do that, we're going to find the tabs that we can be able to bend down. How that's going to work is we're just going to bend them just like that, and it'll look like that. So that way it doesn't pop out, or radio does not slide out when you're accelerating or braking in that case. So we're going to bend this back, and then we should be done. Oh, lastly, I told you at the beginning of the video to bend these tabs out like this. That's fine, but now the radio needs to lock back in, so we need to bend these guys back in. So you should have a cage that looks something similar to this, about that much of a bend. One crucial part that I did forget to mention at the beginning of this video, as far as a part that you will need, it's your dash kit. What this guy does is it just basically fills in the holes and be able to catch on to the cage. You're going to put this guy on first, just like that. It also covers up these two little holes that the original radio sat into. So this guy's going to sit right there, and then you can put your trim ring, I mean, excuse me, your cage in, and then lock the tabs in. Okay, so now we are ready to bend the tabs down. So I'm gonna choose the thickest one. This is one of the first tabs that I will bend down with my pry tool. You also want these tabs flat, because if you don't have them flat and you try to slide the radio in, you're gonna have a really tough time. You just gotta figure out which one's gonna work the best. So that one's gonna work, this one's gonna work, and I'm gonna repeat up top now. That one's locked in. And that one's locked in. Alright, the radio is now installed. I have not bench tested this radio at all. I got it from a friend for free, so we'll see if this thing works. As long as we got some sound. Woohoo! Thanks for watching, guys.